there's a sheet down there with your name and address. And we're going to ask you to contain your comments to 5 minutes maximum. First item on the agenda is minute approval. I'm sure co-counsel have had a chance to review the minutes, so I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion we approve the previous minutes.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. First item on the agenda is the Grand Oaks plat signatures.
Thank you. I'm John Larison, Hallway Engineering.
I don't know, make sure you're on, John.
We are here tonight with the final plat for Grand Oaks subdivision. This plat was previously approved by the Plan Commission, the primary plat approval, approximately 8 months ago. There have been no changes to the plat, with the single exception of an easement was added for Hoosier Energy at the entrance of the subdivision. Other than that, no changes. Still 66 lots in this section, 32.5 acres. You've probably been out and watched the construction effort over the winter, and they're coming along. Roads are in, curbs are in, storm system is almost finished at this point. So at this point we're asking for final plat approval and signatures, and then naturally we'll let you keep the plat until you get the approval from the county for stormwater drainage approval, and then we'll ask to record the plat. So we are here tonight for final approval and signatures. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
My first question was, I can't remember, was the primary plat approved when Stewart's owned the property? Before it was sold to Pyatt?
It was, yes.
As talked to you a while ago, I'm concerned about that secondary entrance. I think at that time they agreed to have 2 in, 2 outs on the addition. And my concern is that since the front section sold to Pyatt, there's no guarantee that the second section will sell, and will that secondary entrance be put in?
Well, the plat does detail a 12-foot wide crushed stone emergency drive, and I'll need to check with the previous minutes, but my interpretation of that would be that the 12-foot wide crushed stone drive will be put in as an emergency only exit until section 2 is developed. Now, again, I just need to go back and check the minutes to see what was agreed to. I won't be able to answer that question tonight.
My concern is if the second section doesn't sell, then that will remain a crushed stone emergency exit only.
Well, and again, I believe that's what was agreed to.
Well, I think, if I remember right, since the Stewarts are putting in section 1, 2, and 3, that they agreed to just the crushed stone emergency exit until they started the second section.
And that's what we're proposing now. It doesn't matter who is going to put the second section in. I believe that the crushed stone was the goal until the second section developed. It's neither here nor there who actually is going to be the developer. And I think I really believe that there was always knowledge that there would be some time lapse between the development of Section 1 and Section 2. So at this time, looking at the plat and the verbiage on the plat, I would have to say that that was the agreement. Again, I'll be more than happy to research our minutes. And naturally, we're going to build whatever was agreed to. I cannot, for the developer tonight, promise that they will asphalt that roadway prior to the development of Section 2. I simply do not have that kind of authorization.
That was the only question I had.
Okay. Anyone else?
That was the same questions I had. Because you're still going to have traffic there. You're not, even though it's an emergency exit, unless you put up a gate, you're still going to have traffic through there. So I feel like we need to see if that's supposed to be finished or just.
Absolutely. I think we can probably get that research done tomorrow. And remember, we're asking for final plat approval and signatures on the plat, but you retain the plat until those guarantees are made and as-bills are finished. The plat cannot be recorded.
In a situation like this, could we approve a plat contingent on, based on the research, what they come up with, or should we table it? What do you think?
I mean, you could do a contingent. There's a lot of ifs. If, if there is anything, well, there's nothing there in the minutes, like you guys think there are, but there's not. And then it gets denied. So, if it's contingent upon something and it's not there, it would, I'm sure you don't want to wait another month, but the safer way to do it would be for
John, how many houses are in this section?
66.
So if for some reason Section 2 never took place, would you have to have a second exit?
The agreement was that the second exit entrance would be there as an emergency, and that's why for Section 1, it was going to be a crushed stone drive.
Do you recall how many houses are on Allison?
It was right at 60. Right at 60 homes.
$66 on this one, so. And we only got.
Right, but if you're referring to the new UDO, this would still fall under the old UDO because it was approved during the old UDO, correct?
I would say yes.
What's the chances you remember when you came before the Plan Commission?
Well, I remember it. I remember the talks.
Well, I can pull the minutes up if I know what month it is.
Take a 5-minute recess while she pulls the minutes up. I'll call us back in order in 5 minutes. amend that 5 minutes to a short recess. Pardon?
I'm trying to see if there's anything.
See, my fear is, one developer owns section 1, section 2, section 3. He sold off section 1 to buy it. This emergency exit now is in section 2. They agreed to it.
Just trying to find something. Plats are weird.
Don't show any restrictions. I see where it's approved. Do you want to look at this real quick, Ashley? Oh, I have it.
I remember when the story came to us, he said he was going to do section 1 first, and then he would put in the emergency exit. But then he sold off section 1.
The minutes, we may not have, not the minutes, we may not have all understand on it. You know what I'm saying? Even though he said it wasn't recorded, so.
Yeah. And the other problem it's got is, if he bought section 1, he doesn't own this property to put that in.
It's great.
It's kind of, they call a secondary and a final the same thing because they don't come back before us. So I don't,
Look, something up here.
If he doesn't own that property, he can't put anything in anyway. He sold the property.
You just, I mean,
requirements worded regarding the gravel drive that is an emergency as part of the section 1 requirement. And these minutes were signed by Mark and Mike, so they were approved at the time.
so it's saying no entrance on section 1?
It doesn't read to be a requirement. It was a request that they fulfilled. It wasn't a requirement and it wasn't a stipulation of approval.
There were no conditions, like, the conditions had to go in during the primary plat. Just 1 second. Give me 1 second. Try to be faster if I could just do this on my phone.
Did you find anything out, John? No. I mean, the only thing I'm thinking is, how many lots did you say were in this, John?
66.
How many were in Allison's?
Okay, hold on just 1 second.
Said 63.
Yeah, it was right,
Maybe
right in
my
there.
It's just gotta load.
It's loading now. The answer's loading right now.
It's $50,000 question, frankly. You realize that down and around my corner, $50,000 job to put the binder down. And so and the reason I'm saying that is I'm just uncomfortable.
Oh, I understand that wholeheartedly.
Oh, I was just thinking about the contentiousness of it. And I think that all overshadows.
That's what I'm saying.
If it would have been required on the primary plat and it hasn't been done yet, you could require them to post a bond.
They're not being required.
But if it's not required, and it looks like it was brought up, but it didn't pass with that.
Well, he's gonna put it in the gravel.
Okay. Thank you.
But
One of the problems is that it's outside the boundary of the subdivision as well.
Yeah, I brought that up too.
They don't own the property. What's the difference?
Like, we have primary on July and secondary on September. I take that back, hold on.
is it in? Is this-
Secondary was December.
It's hard to pitch hit this without having any.
We'll just move forward, I think.
But they did come before.
If it was in the legal description, you could require a bond.
If it's not in the legal description, I think we probably are just. I'm going to call the meeting back to order.
I think since we approved the Allison edition with 63 lots with one in, one out, this one's 66. I'll make a motion that we approve the secondary plat.
Second?
Oh, final, well, it says secondary, the final plat.
Say your motion again, please.
I make a motion to approve the final plat of Grand Oaks, Section 1.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Sorry for the delay, folks. Next item on the agenda is the primary plat for State Route 67 in Packmore Lane.
I don't know. I've never even used this thing.
I think you have to go to input settings.
Here?
I don't know which one it is.
or three.
That one even on?
It was a minute ago. If it's the same property that I thought it did.
Oh, that doesn't look right. I hate these things. Oh, sorry. Forgot I'm being recorded.
Very cool.
Let's try one at a time. Hold on.
State Road 67?
Yes.
46 acres on State Road
Yes,
67.
that's it.
Now the menu won't even come up.
On March 6th, the council took action
Okay, okay.
in adopting the annexation ordinance.
So it was annexed in the 6th, okay.
Or why don't you try and mess with one of them?
Well, it was actually on February 28th.
I would think it would have to be on your HDMI settings, either 1, 2. Did you try all of them?
There you go. Hey. There you go.
Go up to picture.
That's just, it's input settings.
Oh, yeah, it's input. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, try HDMI 2. And try HDMI 3. Yep. Yeah, I know nothing about it.
I could talk through the Let me go ahead and start. Okay. So, my name's David Gilman, and my office address is 211 South Ritter Avenue, Suite H, Indianapolis, Indiana. I represent CTC Construction, or CTC. CTC is the buyer of about 46 acres on the east side of State Road 67 between Morningside Subdivision and Packmore Facility. We've been through a conceptual plan approval back in February. We discussed at that time the 1999 PUD that was zoned for this 46 acres, PUDI, that allowed the industrial development to occur. We assured the Plan Commission and the neighbors that we would comply with all of those zoning requirements. In particular, there was a 100-foot buffer zone with 200-foot pine trees to be planted along the common property line, our north side and their southern line. We did show a conceptual plan that had 196,000 square foot of office warehouse space. We did show an outlot for one of our buyers, E-Tank, and they are acquiring about 14 and a half acres, and they're going to build about a 24,000 square foot administrative building, service building, and then they would have an outdoor storage area. During that time, we discussed, and E-Tank was present, and they're here again today, that it was discussed on, their day-to-day operations and to address the concerns that were brought up about potential contaminants or anything that might be part of their business, and it was assured to everybody that they are simply a rental company of equipment that does environmental work, and they do not do environmental cleanup. They don't bring environmental waste to the property. The tanks will be empty, cleaned, and stored on the property at all times. We now are asking the Plan Commission, and we were approved, thank you. We now are asking the Plan Commission to consider our preliminary plat. And our preliminary plat is our next step toward getting our construction plan and our final plats approved. The preliminary plat has the 46 acres. It has the primary road, which is an extension of Packmore Boulevard from south to north. It has 8 buildings that still equal 196,000 square feet of office warehouse space. The buildings have been rearranged a little bit. Where now we have the buildings more in a row from south to north for the office warehouse. We have still a future development area in the northeast corner, about 10-12 acres. And E-Tank, their property has not changed from the conceptual plan layout. The preliminary plat has gone through the TAC review, and all the TAC comments that were presented to our civil engineer, Tesco, have been addressed and included on the plat. The major change is the fire department has asked us to put a cul-de-sac at the very northern terminus of the new Packmore Boulevard, and we've added that. That also prompted maybe to shift a couple of our buildings, so our buildings are now all in a line with Packmore Boulevard extension, as opposed to having a couple units that would be on a spur out in the middle of the development. So it just made more sense to lay it out that way. So we do know where the road is primarily going to go. We know where our easements are. We know where the Hill Water has asked us to extend from the southwest corner all the way to the northern property line, and then they want us to actually extend back to 67, terminate to allow them to bore under 67 in the future and loop back into their system on the east side. We do have our Sanitary Connect is the Force Main lift station that is up in our northeast corner. We do have a master drainage plan. The master drainage plan basically makes the assumption of about how much storage area we're going to need. The ponds are now laid out all along the east side of our property line adjacent to the railroad tracks. The size of the ponds are designed to accommodate 80% of the entire 46 acres to be hard surfaced, which is one of the requirements in the stormwater manual. We don't know if that's actually going to occur, but it cannot occur any more than that. So the ponds may be a little bit oversized. We do have the entire 46 acres broken up into what I'm going to say 2 drainage basins, and that's based on existing conditions. If you were to look at the topo map, you have about 10 acres to the north that outlets into a 24-inch pipe underneath the railroad tracks. Then you have about 31 acres south of the break that also outlets into a 24-inch pipe underneath the railroad tracks. So that's going to be the split of the 2 drainage basins, and that's where these ponds have been designed to accommodate the existing and proposed runoff. We will be required to resubmit final drainage calculations, final drainage plans for these individual section 1 when we come back for final approval. This is a multi-phased, multi-building development. We anticipate our first phase will be the E-Tank lot of about 15 acres and then office warehouse space for the first 2 buildings at the southernmost part of Packmore Drive, and that's a 20,000 square foot and a 12,000 square foot building. That will be phase 1. We anticipate that phase 1 coming back before this commission, I would say at the earliest June, maybe July. In our TAC review comments, again, we've been in constant communication, both our environmental engineers and our civil engineers with Hill Water. We have retained the services of Mundell Consulting. They're environmental consultants. They have over 20 years' experience, 19 environmental and geologists working for them. They write a majority or a large amount of the wellhead protection plans for various cities and other owners of water sources throughout Indiana, both private and public. They have given us a proposal which we've accepted. The objective of their proposal is to draft wellhead protection plans or recommendations that follow the plan provided by Hill that ultimately protects the groundwater source, whether it be in the aquifer or in White Lick Creek. Here's the information that they're going to need in order to complete a wellhead protection response to Hill Water. Obviously, the site use, history, and proposed. They're going to need development plans, including the building layout with plumbing and floor plans. They're going to need, if any elevators are to be included or any hydraulics that are being used on the property. They're going to need stormwater and wastewater handling and drainage plans. They'll need any planned chemical storage. They'll need proposed final grading and ground cover plans. They'll need an operational detail for the proposed businesses of each building. And then also need a spill prevention plan. Those requirements that I just read sort of follow what a wellhead protection plan does. So when we receive the wellhead protection plan from Hill, it'll very likely ask us to provide the information that our associates, Mundell and Associates, have already agreed that they would be providing as part of their services to us. Again, the stormwater drainage, it's designed in order to contain and collect stormwater runoff. It'll do that in a series of inlets and underground pipes. That will then be outletted or discharged into what we're going to call some water treatment system. A common name, it's a trademark name, but it's called an aqua swirl. You have an inlet pipe coming in, and it's a great big container. It's got a filter. When the water comes in, it swirls, and it cleans out both solids, floatable liquids, and oils to about 85–90%. And then an outlet pipe would go into a dry detention basin that we're proposing before it ever gets into White Lick Creek or any groundwater source. Again, all of the drainage, water treatment control systems are regulated by IDEM and Town of Mooresville at the local level and state level, also by EPA at a federal level. We have a Clean Water Act where we just simply can't discharge directly into any creek or water source or supply. But we have agreed, and we've committed to Hill, and we've committed to the Pam Commission and the Town Council that we will certainly follow the recommendations that Hill gives us to make sure that our property is developed in a responsible manner. The buildings and their operational plans are developed in a responsible manner to comply with their wellhead protection plan for the citizens of Mooresville. And we do have more definitive construction plans that we need to bring back to you as our final, which I would call our final plat phase or our secondary approval. We hope to be back June, July. And at that point, if I've glossed over anything that you need more information on, please ask me, or I'll leave it up to members of the audience. If they have questions, I'll try to answer those as well. With that, I'd be happy to answer your questions at this time.
On your lift station, is that going to be a duplex or simplex station? You're going to have one or two pumps?
On the sanitary lift station, I don't know. I'm so sorry, but Dave Moore and Tesco are going to work through that. I don't know what's out there, and I don't know if they have the capacity or not.
I believe it's, our system would be just a gravity system, that the existing lift station is deep.
So you're going to do gravity down to a lift station, that's the town's lift station? Tim? Okay.
Yeah, the lift station's up already in the northeast corner out there.
I'll ask my questions of them later.
Yeah, and also the spec buildings are a 30,000 and 12,000.
A 30 and a 12, okay.
And all of your information that you need for the well protection plan, they're getting that from Hill Water, correct?
We'll be getting that from Hill Water, correct.
Be possible to get a copy of that when it's finished to take a look at?
Been asking. And here's the, I'm not sure if this is a reason for a delay, but, you know, they have acquired that land to do the new wells that are right up adjacent to us. I think what they're wanting to do is get everything current before they give it to us, and we're willing to be patient with them. So realistically, we would start construction late fall, and our buildings, we'd start construction on them in spring of 2024.
There was a question in the tech meeting as far as the utilization of an existing right-of-way that the town currently has there with an active sewer line or water main in that, Tim?
Yeah, Joe, would you identify yourself for the record?
Sure, Joel Fritz with Commercial Team Construction, or CTC. Hoosier Energy asked for a 75-foot wide by some length, which was about 0.75 acres, so that they can install the turn-off switch on their main power. So we've agreed to set that aside and show that on the phone.
Okay.
I think it's outside the right of way of Packmore as it stubs to us. Was that the question?
Well, there was an easement there. They were asking about utilizing that. That's a town easement, but I think it's an active right-of-way there, I think. Is it? I believe. I didn't know if those had been resolved or not.
I'm not sure if the final plans have been detailed out. I do know we have it on our drawing somewhere. I think it was shown on there of where they wanted to go.
And I think the majority of it is under their easement too.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember the discussion. I didn't know if they had been in contact with you. Okay.
So right here is where it's marked on this
Yes.
page of where they want to go. We just have it. It looks like it falls outside the proposed right-of-way, but it could be within a 20-foot utility easement that's already there.
And that's an active easement that's there that the town has right now, so keep that in mind, please. I have no more questions.
The only question I have is, Tim, are you comfortable with everything? Okay, but everything else you're okay with?
Anyone from the audience have any comments or concerns, questions regarding?
Quick question, has the annexation gone through with the town?
The annexation is complete, yes.
Okay.
Okay. I asked that question a little while ago, so. Barring no other questions, sir? Your name, please, and address.
I'm Gary Vandelarshat. I'm with Packmore Process Technologies.
Yes.
Was at the last meeting. We have two interests that I think we probably would like to explore a little further, and that is the road usage. It's our understanding that there's currently no improvements planned for the current road. It's just merely an extension. We're not certain that there is a need for improvement, but curious as to whether or not there's been any evaluation of that, evaluation of traffic and what potential road improvements might be necessary and how that might be incorporated in the plan should they be necessary. Not sure what the process is for us to explore that, but we'd like to explore that further. And we've mentioned that to David in our discussions with him as well. The other interest would be environmental. We're not anticipating any issues, but our interest is in we have a retained environmental consultant that works on our site on a regular basis, and having them engage with the environmental consultant of the developers that you've mentioned, I can't remember the name of it, Mundell, and just engage them to have them assess any potential environmental concerns. We're not anticipating there being any, but we've got quite an extensive permitting process and so forth, so we want to make sure there's nothing there that would be disrupt that. We'd also like to understand what the processes are. I know at the last meeting we talked a little bit about the processes of E-Tank. We'd just like to better understand what they're using and how that process works, and potential, any potential, assess any potential risk that might be as a result of that. Again, not anticipating any problems, but would like to make sure we engage in those discussions. And I'm hopeful that at this point in the process, that still is an opportunity to do that investigation and provide feedback should we have any feedback along the way.
The developer's willing to work with Pagmore, and have a matter of record, you have these discussions and come together with some comments to allay their concerns, is that correct?
Yes, we've already started that
Okay.
dialogue, and I committed to them full transparency, and I will introduce them to our civil and our environmental engineers, and they know they can call me or email me, and I'll set a call.
And as far as their concerns, as far as the ingress, egress, wear and tear road issues?
That's a public road,
Yes.
and so we'll probably have that discussion with Dave Moore as we go through, because our road will be constructed, and they'll have to use that road to get constructed.
And I think the road is being built for you, as I understand.
Yes.
The extension is being built. There is a road there that we
The
use and
extension
have
is
an
being
extensive
built, yes.
traffic on there. And I don't know, I wasn't around when that was built, to what level it was built for.
Who owns that road now?
Tim, you can have a great little area.
Yeah.
Would you be willing? Okay, but it is owned by, okay.
I think the bigger question is that I'm wanting to work with the PACMOR is logistics and timing.
Okay,
We'll have a lot of construction traffic to get the road built, and then once it's built, we need to figure out how that fits with their day-to-day business and day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
you happy with that?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not suggesting they weren't cooperative at all. We've had some dialogues. I just wanted to make sure it was on the record that there were some of those things that we wanted to explore and make sure they were dialogued appropriately before final plans were in place and so forth.
And I've got some concerns that I'll take up with Dave and Tim as far as lift station issues that have nothing to do with you guys at all, so.
And I think my understanding, with Hill Water, unrelated to this development, Pacmore probably has to have, we're going to do some exploration with that well protection plan as well to understand what's going on there, because we weren't really aware of that until this process, and assuming that may impact us as well, so, but not necessarily related to the development, so.
That's a fairly benign process, once the information is gathered,
Yeah.
to come up with a modeling on what they have to do.
Yeah, we're going to have our environmental consultant work with them, just like you described, so we've had some dialogues with them, so. That was it, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, that said, I guess we would need a motion to approve the plan as presented. I'd entertain a motion to approve, deny.
Make a motion that we approve.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the secondary plat for Haymaker Drive. We lost the crowd before the snacks came out.
How you guys doing?
Sorry, I'm fine.
Just got a lot of claps.
Pardon?
Got a lot of claps tonight.
The timer change.
All right, so your name, please, and you've got the floor.
Thank you. My name is Chandler Harden with Bandon Engineering. I'm here on behalf of Mooresville Redevelopment Commission. We're here to subdivide the remainder of the property owned by the Redevelopment Commission off of, it's actually, the east side of it's State Road 67, and then Haymaker Road stubs into the south side of this plat. Right now, kind of just based the west line off the creek running through there. They wanted two separate properties for future use. So we thought that'd be kind of the less harsh way to go. And this one, this plat's actually Mooresville Industrial Park Section 2. They have covenants and restrictions for Section 1, which this one will abide by. The future, this lot 3 on here was written into the covenants and restrictions as a future lot. So I guess everything on that end. And there is a temporary cul-de-sac on Haymaker as of now, but as soon as this plat gets recorded, the temporary cul-de-sac goes away, and then the potential buyer will have to pave their way north to their, I guess, prospective building.
Who owns a cul-de-sac?
Who owns the cul-de-sac? Right now, it's temporary. It's still a redevelopment commission that owns it. It's on Haymaker Road is actually the public road, but the portion of the cul-de-sac's on lot 1.
Trying to picture where Haymaker Road is.
Down here off 67, it's you know where Merriman Road is? The new Shell building. This the Shell building actually sits on lot 1.
Stubs to the north?
Yes. So the Haymaker Drive runs on the west side of the Shell building, and it just ends at a cul-de-sac right now. I think with separate documents over the course of the last, I want to say 6 years, pretty much all of the sanitary, water, and electric infrastructure has already been placed in easements. There would be no more road dedication on these, both these next plats, but at least I guess the potential buyer. I think they have, the redevelopment commission has 2 potential buyers lined up, one for each of these plats, but it would conform with the current zoning use.
That it? Any questions? Barring no questions, I entertain a motion to approve the request for secondary plat as submitted.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is the secondary plat of Bethel Road.
So this is a separate 55-acre plat. It's on the same property that the Mooresville Redevelopment Commission owns. This is the portion west of the creek. As I said before, there's a lift station in the southeast corner, and all the easements and everything like that have already been prepared and recorded. I did talk at our pre-design meeting. I talked to Hill Water, and they said for each of these plats, I think there's 12-inch lines, one of Haymaker and one of Bethel Road that could kind of service a large corporation building.
Any questions, anyone?
I have no questions.
Or no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve this plat as submitted.
Sorry. I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty, permits and inspections.
$35.
What'd you do with the rest of the month? Is there any new business to bring before the planning commission?
Just to list those on out for free. It's they got 10 houses. They haven't started 10 houses exactly yet, but they have 10 permits for Allison Estates. So they're underway, and they've got all their ducks in a row, and phase 1 is going. So just a heads up on that.
There's no new business, nothing for the good of the order.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Kill the mics, I want to ask Tim a question.